Alright, my little homies. We're going to be teaching you key terms and how to use them for the EOC. This is Arnold.
This is Emily.
And I'm Jessica. This is the only part you'll be hearing from me since I'm editing this video.
Alright, so first we're going to be showing you the definitions of each key term you're going to use. Alright, so that will be Emily.
Alright, so while you can't see the definitions right here, I'm still going to list them off anyways for all of you auditory listeners. First definition is main idea, which is basically what the entire article is about, or like a main summary. The next one is argument, which is just the point the author is trying to convince the reader of, whether it be positive or negative. The next term is going to be relevance, which is going to be how much the source applies to the question. A term after that is sources, which are the articles that the question are based on that you have to work with, which you probably know already. Next term is credibility, which is just the trustworthiness of the author based on their biases and background. The next key term is connect, which is taking two or more sources and applying them to each other. And then the final term is theme, which is the underlying idea that the article is based on.
Alright, my homies. So, while Emily talked about the definitions of our key terms, I'm going to talk about the first two, which is main idea versus argument. The article we used is Should Marijuana Be Legalized as a Medicine? No, It's Dangerous and Addictive by Voth Eric. Now, the main idea. The main idea is that marijuana is easily addictive and can do more harm to people than good. But the argument that the author is trying to convince you of is that marijuana can do more harm than good when legalized as a medicine. So they can be similar, but different.
Alright, so another important thing you people need to know is relevance, which if you remember, is basically how much the source relates to the question. In order to find something like that, all you really need to do is focus on the key ideas and evidence that the question asks compared to what's in the article. And so, if you want to think back to that example article, a most likely question for that would be something similar to marijuana legalization. And yet, looking at this little bit pulled exactly from it, you'll see it talks more about alcoholism. This bit isn't relevant, considering it doesn't answer the prompt of drug legalization. Therefore, it isn't relevant, even if it does make sense in the article.
So now, we're going to be talking about sources. And there are two types of sources that you need to focus on, and it's primary and secondary. Let's talk about primary. Primary sources are usually results of research studies and the results of scientific experiments or clinical trials. Sometimes they can be recordings of conferences, meetings, usually things that people do that are there during the event. And they're considered to be more trustworthy than the lower levels. Now, after that comes secondary sources. And secondary sources are the analysis or the review of primary sources. They can be the publications of the significance of the research or the experiments, analysis of the clinical trial, or a review of the results of several experiments or trials, and they analyze the importance of said results.
The next key term we're going to talk about is credibility, which is just how you should trust a person based on their background. You can usually tell their background from the source or where they come from. Like, for instance, if they come from Fox News, they'd obviously be biased. However, you can also get a small excerpt, usually in italics, on the paper. In this example article, it has a long expert about Voth, saying how he's a chairman of International Drug Strategy and has all kinds of medical experience with drug legalization. Compare that to this fake small little expert on the bottom, which says that he's a concerned parent of a current marijuana user. While he still has dealt with marijuana in both situations, in the first he has dealt with it more scientifically, and therefore can come a little bit more unbiased. Alright, so if you people are in high school, you should understand what the term connect means and how to use it. You're most likely going to connect two arguments using a Venn diagram. Therefore, here we've provided an example for you. Now, if you would take the time to pause the video right now, you could try to figure out for yourself, What perspectives would these two people have on this issue? Alright, if you pause the video, you should be back from your short little exercise. As you can see here, we rather have a variety of reasons why each person would have their own perspective. The points that you put down don't have to be the exact same as the ones we have on here. However, they should be in a rather similar ballpark. If they aren't, then you really need to focus more on where each of these people would come from and why they would have these thoughts.
Now, my peeps, on to the next term. Theme is the underlying idea of an article. In written works is what the reader think the work is about. It's much broader than the main point, and some examples of theme would be freedom, civil rights, economic status, or environment preservation. They're much larger concepts than the main idea of an article because they deal with not just an argument, but also everything about that concept, everything about civil rights, the good, the bad, and everything about things like economic status. Now you're going to analyze a document for yourself. This document is an article about gay marriage, so please pause this video and return back when you're done.
Alright, since you guys are now done with the analysis, here are the answers which you can obviously read. If they don't have to be exactly like this, but they should be rather similar. If they aren't, then you should really go back towards this video or try looking at one of the other videos on the website.
We hope you found this entertaining, and by entertaining, we really mean educational. Have a nice day.